Recording in progress.
Good morning, students. Welcome to this Success at CA exam session for paper 5 Indirect Tax Laws. And I am CA Shefali Jain.
I am CA Swati Agarwal.
And we both are your mentors for today's session. This session is applicable for September 2025 examination. And we will be dealing with the exam related tips. We'll be apprising you with how you can be better exam prepared for the indirect tax law subject. And as you know that very little time has been left for the examination. So we'll quickly take you through some of the tips. How can you best utilize your time till examination? How can you make effective use of the reading time which is provided to you before the exams, before the start of the exam, and as well as how you can appear in the examination with full-fledged preparation. Then we'll also cover the commonly committed errors. We'll also tell you that what are the errors which students generally commit in the examination, which we have come across over the years. And we'll share with you so that those mistakes are not committed by you. Because we always say we can learn from others' mistakes. So this is the way to learn from others' mistakes. And we will be telling you what those mistakes which students generally commit so that you don't commit them. And we'll take some questions also. In fact, we plan to take the first compulsory question so that you get an idea, because generally we get the request from the students that they are not able to score in that question. They are very afraid of that question. So they leave that question and they feel that this question they will not be able to score. They leave it for the end, and generally they don't attempt it. Many students don't attempt it also, or they feel that they will not score full in that question. So we'll tell you what are the mistakes students generally commit, how you have to approach that question. We'll try to take one question based on the compulsory first question, 14 marks question, which is an integration of all the provisions.
Yeah, basically it is an integrated question. So all the provisions, basically all the substantive provisions apply: charge of GST, reverse charge mechanism, block credit, section 17, input tax credit, time, value of supply, and various exemptions from GST, whether a particular supply, will be taxable under GST or not, a particular activity. All the things you will be able to revise and understand. And also we get, as ma'am told you, many queries and many doubts over phone as well, that students generally get panicked from this compulsory question because they feel that they won't be able to, it will take a lot of time and they won't be able to end up with while arriving at the correct answer. So that's why we have planned to take up that big question, because a lot of many concepts will be clear to you, and how to solve that question and how not to fear from that question, because in examination anyway we get stepwise marking. So even if you're not aware of the treatment of one or two items, you may solve the rest of the question. But what happen is that net minimum GST payable might get wrong, but other adjustments will be corrected. Okay.
So is our presentation visible to you all? Hope it is visible to you all. Prashant, is the presentation visible to you? Tech support, if I think presentation would be visible, I hope.
Yes.
Okay. So whatever time is left till examination, first of all, you should make best use of that time. You must be following a study plan. So you need to prioritize the important topics. And what are the important topics? As Swati already told you, substantive provisions. Starting from supply till ITC, they are the most important topics. So you have to start from that, gain conceptual understanding in those topics, and memorize the concepts. So memorization of concepts is very important. And then you should prepare the summary. So you all can refer the Saransh booklet, which is which has been published and updated for September examination. Refer the Saransh booklet, and once the entire syllabus is completed, then for revision purpose, you should refer the revision test papers, the questions of the revision test papers, plus the mock test papers. Appear for mock test paper under exam-like conditions. So that will help. One mock test paper has already been conducted and one is planned in this coming month. So you can prepare the entire subject and appear for the mock test paper religiously and very honestly. You should appear for the mock test paper because that will help you in assessing your preparation. And last but not the least is the MCQ booklet, the booklet on case scenarios. So these MCQs are asked from based on the case scenarios, and a booklet has been prepared wherein this time the feature which has been added is the reasoning. So many a time students used to ask us that we want the reasoning for a particular scenario about how the MCQs answers have been derived. So for the sake of their convenience, now the answers have also been incorporated, or solutions. Basically, the solutions for the case scenarios has also been incorporated in the booklet. So then you should maintain a healthy lifestyle throughout your preparation time and stay positive and motivated. You all know that staying motivated is very important at this point of time as exams are nearing. Otherwise, you might get demotivated.
So as we know that success is not an accident. It is basically the hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. Because when you spend time in doing something which you love to do, you never look at the watch while spending time. So since you are pursuing this course, chartered accountancy course, it is obviously that you love this course, you want to be a chartered accountant, you want that this two alphabet CA get prefixed with your name. So when you are spending time with something which you love to do, please be minded, learning, studying, sacrificing, everything is a part of it. To achieve success, it is not that by accident just sitting idle and appearing in the examination will not lead to any success. A lot of efforts are required for it, and believe me, all the efforts are worth which you are spending basically. Once you will become a chartered accountant, you will feel the moment of pride. You will forget all the efforts which you have made, which you are making, the day and night hard work which you are working upon. So everything is worth of it. So please uh, be sincere in your practice, in revision, and be dedicated.
Sacrifice is also very important. CA course always demands sacrifice, and we all know that you are making sacrifices at each point in life. Plus, for CA course, they have been increased manifold. So, earlier during this Diwali leaves,
Yeah.
so CA students used to be always busy in their studies, and everybody used to celebrate the festival. So those kind of sacrifices we have made. We are many a times we are aloof from our friends. We are not able to attend the parties. We are not able to attend go out with them because we are always busy in studies. Now 3 times a year exams will be held, so that will increase the pressure also on you. You will also always be busy in some or the other preparation.
But once you will appear in September exam and you will clear the exam, you will be able to celebrate Diwali and all the functions basically, because now the exams are there in September. So you will
And
be,
you can visualize
yeah,
how you will feel once you are a chartered accountant.
yes.
So if you fail, never give up, because fail is first attempt in learning. So that is very motivating quote. And you should always maintain a healthy lifestyle throughout your examination. From today till the date the exams are convened, you should try to have a sound sleep. Even if your sleep hours are reduced, but you should try to have a sound sleep, free from all distractions, and try to have a balanced diet so that you stay healthy during your study period as well as during the examination. So if you believe in yourself and apply these strategies, definitely you will achieve success. So we'll quickly go through the division of syllabus.
Yes, as we know that this paper number 5, indirect tax laws, is of 100 marks, and there are two parts basically. Part 1, goods and services tax. It carries a higher weightage, that is of 80 marks, and part 2 comprises of customs and foreign trade policy. And customs and FTP in together, total customs and FTP has a weightage of 20 marks. Then as being a law paper, it is important to be aware of the applicable position of law, which is for September 2025 examination. So all the amendments made by Finance Number 2 Act 2024, which have become effective till 28th of Feb 2025, are applicable for you. Because in GSC, what happens is that the amendments made by by any act, they are made effective later on by the notification. So all the amendments of FA number 2022, Finance number 2 Act 2024, which have become effective till 28th Feb 2025 are applicable for September 25 examination. As you know, that cutoff date is basically 6 months prior to the date of examination, and the significant notification and circulars that are basically compiled as statutory update for September 2025 examination. They are already web hosted at under BoS knowledge portal named as statutory updates. So both of these two FA amendments made by Finance number 2 Act 2024 and significant notification and circulars till 28th of Feb 2025 are applicable for your examination.
Why is it more relevant? Because Finance Act amendments generally get effective from a later date, and this time most of the Finance number 2 Act 2024 amendments, they became effective from 1st November. So that cutoff was after the cutoff which is applicable for May 25. So May 25, most of the amendments made by Finance number 2 Act were not applicable, but for September examination, they have become applicable. And for this, I would like to draw your attention towards very important fact that we have incorporated many amendments based questions in the RTP revision test paper. It was because of this reason only, because these amendments have come for the first time, they have become applicable. In May exams they were not applicable. So in September examination, so that you can get an idea of those amendments, their application, we have incorporated amendment based questions which have been incorporated by FA 2024. We have incorporated. So you have to answer the question in the exam based on FA 20 Finance Act 24 as well as notification circulars up to the cutoff date, latest position of law. So these are the applicable BoS publications. You are aware, study material. We have already discussed these publications, and during your revision period, especially you should need to focus on revision test paper and mock test paper. Section wise weightage and study guidelines. I think if time permits, we can give them. We can have a glance at the end of the session. Otherwise, section wise weightage tells you the weightage of each of the sections. Primarily substantive provisions, both in GST as well as in customs, has the highest weightage. So in GST, if I say from supply chapter till ITC, it almost carries 50% of the entire paper. Weightage of almost 50%. So you can understand how important it is. So that you should focus more, and then comes the enforcement provisions, demand recovery, appeals, revisions, offences, penalties, and then the procedural law. Similarly, in customs also, the valuation, then levy of customs, classification, types of duty, that is the substantive provision, and they carry the highest weightage, followed by the procedural law, foreign trade policy, and then import-export procedures, warehousing. Study guidelines has those topics which are excluded from the syllabus. So both study guidelines as well as section-wise weightage are available on the BoS knowledge portal. If time permits, we'll take you through BoS knowledge portal and we'll let you know that where you can find them. So please refer study guidelines as well as section-wise weightage before you, for your studies purpose. So for revision also, you should refer these.
As these, section-wise weightage basically tell you about the how, it helps you in prioritizing the topics which you need to study, basically how you plan your study. So the section-wise weightage, as ma'am told you, they are already hosted on the website. We will also go through the same. So while organizing your study topics, it should be based on section-wise weightage, yes, because it tells you that how much focus you should, should be there on a particular topic, or depending upon the marks which it carries in the examination. So refer to the section-wise weightage of the paper. Under Part GSC, Part 1 GSC, as we have discussed, the substantive provisions which are covered in Module 1 of the study material plus input tax credit, first chapter of Module 2 of the study material. It carry the highest weightage. And begin by studying them thoroughly. You have to study the GSC in a sequential manner, because then only you will be able to understand the provisions, and apply them in a better manner, because fundamental aspects of GST, they are the backbone of GST. So if once you are thorough with the substantive aspects of GST, then only you will be able to appreciate the procedural and followed by enforcement provisions of GST law. Then under Part 2, also substantive provisions, they carry the maximum weightage. So sequence of the chapter is also designed to support this approach, right? Then for effective presentation skills, in case of computational questions, students must supplement their answers with proper explanatory notes. Then only they are able to get the full marks. Because if you are not, if you don't, substantiate your answer with proper explanatory notes, and only just give the amount figure in the column, whether it is taxable or not exempt or dash, then only see if particular item is of 1 mark, then only you might get half marks or you might not get marks, right? It is
Sometimes
very
students
important.
only write the section numbers or the rule numbers in this. That is also not the appropriate or the correct way to write the reasoning. In fact, when we will be covering the commonly committed errors, we'll let you know how the explanatory notes have to be provided. This is what is the ideal manner to provide the explanatory notes. Writing section numbers, rule numbers alone will not suffice. So you can write section number, rule numbers, but you should also write the correct legal provision. Your main thrust should be on the legal provision rather than on section or rule numbers.
And while answering the non-computational questions, due emphasis should be on comprehensively elaborating the legal provisions tested on the question. You don't have to write unnecessary stories based upon your understanding or the way the general answers. It should be backed with the correct legal provisions, right? Whatever section, whatever rule is invoked in that question, you have to give reference of the same. You might not quote the rule number or section number. That is okay, because we always say that it is better not to quote than to misquote the section or rule number. But yes, your answer should be based on the legal provision that has been discussed in the respective act or rule. Then students are expected to answer the questions on the basis of the latest position of law as applicable for the examination. See, for example, it might happen that for a particular examination, let's say for September 25, the cutoff date applicable for you is 28th of Feb 2025. And what happens is there was some earlier prior to 28th of Feb 2025, there was some other limit, let's say for e-invoicing, and for 28th Feb, the limit has been changed. So what do you have to write in the examination? The latest position of law as applicable on the cutoff date, that is 28th of Feb 20.
This is given as an instruction on the question paper also. That in case, especially in GST paper, this will be there, in indirect tax laws paper, that you have to answer all questions based on position of law applicable on this cutoff date. So this is something which you need to take care of while answering the questions, and don't answer the questions on any position which was applicable before 28th February. So if some different position was applicable, you have to take care that your answer should be based on the latest position of law only.
Yes, then wherever in the question, if some information is missing, students may take an assumption, but you have to state it clearly in the answer. See, you can take assumption. It is a taxation paper, law-based paper. There are scope of multiple assumptions, interpretations. You may assume it otherwise the way that it is given in the question. But what you have to make sure is that you mention your assumption very clearly, specifically in the answer, that the above answer has been solved on the basis of this, or you may give it in a footnote that it has been assumed that let's say the amount is inclusive of GST or it is exclusive of GST. So whatever you assume, you have to state your assumptions very clearly in the answer.
Generally, the missing information can be in the form of inclusive, exclusive. In the receipts is not given as Swati told you. It can be in the form of the place. Sometimes the information, the appropriate or the sufficient information for determining place of supply can also be missing. It can also be a case where it is last year's turnover was required and that is not provided. So you have to take some assumption. For example, legal services. They become taxable only when the business entities to whom the legal services are being provided, its turnover exceeds the threshold limit for registration in the last year or previous financial year. So if that is not provided, then you have to take some assumption. So you have to clearly write that assumption. So both the answers are equally possible, and in that case, you have to write the answer. Now, this is the question paper pattern. MCQ portion is 30 marks, where case scenarios will be provided to you. 2 to 3 case scenarios will be given to you. In case 2 case scenarios are there, most probably they would be having 6 questions, each carrying 2 marks. So all MCQs will carry 2 marks. All MCQs will be based on those case scenarios which will be there in the exam. And those MCQs have to be answered based on the information provided in the case scenarios, applying the provisions of the respective law. Now, for GST, 26 marks case scenarios are asked, and for customs and FTP, 4 marks. So there will be 2 small scenarios for customs. Based on that, the MCQs will be asked. one MCQ each will be there for 2 questions. But in GST, there will be either 2 scenarios or 3 scenarios, and one small scenario based question will also be there in the exam. So based on that, you have to answer. And you know that in case scenarios, you do not have to MCQs, you do not have to provide any reasoning. In descriptive part, the first question is compulsory, and that is the computation of dent GST payable. So our focus today will be on this particular question, because students generally are very confused and very scared of this particular question. So we want you to be very confident in this particular question, have an idea of what type of mistakes you can commit. You will not commit those mistakes in the exam, and have a broad idea that how you have to proceed in this particular question. That output supplies will be given to you. So one table you will prepare for output tax, then you will add the tax payable under reverse charge mechanism. Then working note will have the ITC computation, and then you have to show the set off of output tax from against the input tax credit. But that all we'll take care of, we'll tell you during the course of the session. Apart from that, out of remaining 5 questions, you have to attempt any 4. So first question, which is compulsory, it does not have customs in it. But remaining questions will have customs portion also for 4 marks in each question. First question will not have any customs question. That is entirely a GST based question for 14 marks. And 10 marks GST question in optional question. So 10 plus 4, that makes it 14. All questions carry 14 marks. But only thing is that in first question, there is no customs question. Now, most important thing comes how to manage time in exam, and that to the first 15 minutes reading time which you get. So this is the most important time, and your exam actually starts from that reading time itself. So you have to harness that time.
Yes, you have to leverage that 15 minutes, because then only you will be ready. Once you get the time to start writing your examination, you will be prepared which answer you are going to attempt. You will already decide the choice. There's a choice of one question, and in that reading time itself, you have to decide which question you are going to attempt. So how to basically make the most optimum use of those 15 minutes? You just give a quick glance to all the descriptive questions except question 1. Why we are saying except question 1? Because generally, as we had got a feedback, the students, they get panicked once they look at question 1. They feel that, oh, I'm not aware of this question. Their confidence get lost. So we request students to give a quick glance. Give a quick glance. You don't have to go in depth. You don't have to keep on thinking while you are giving a quick glance. You just have to give a quick glance and accept question 1. Out of the 5 optional questions, identify the 4 questions which you will attempt. So you have to decide the choice, basically, which question you are going to leave. Identify the descriptive question. Identify the descriptive question for which you feel most confident about. This will be the question you will answer first, setting a positive momentum for the paper. Right? As we know that first impression is the last impression, which we have generally heard, and that holds true in the examination also. Because for the question which you are confident, if you will write that question, it will save your time. It will give a positive impression to the examiner who is checking your paper. That person will also think that yes, this student is aware of the provision, he or she is an intelligent one, and he will have a positive impression for you, that while checking the answers, he will feel that yes, other questions will also be written in that good manner only. So for students also, it is a positive remark, because it gives a positive momentum. You are able to save time, and your confidence level boosts if you write the first question which you know the best. And it is also positive for the examiner who is going to check your answer sheet. Then distribute the total time which is available for you for writing the examination between the case scenario based multiple choice questions and the descriptive question. So you have to distribute the total time. Now, how are you going to distribute the total time? See, as ma'am have already discussed with you, that in division A, that is case scenario based multiple choice questions, all the questions will be application based questions. There is no direct theory question, no direct comprehension and knowledge based question will be tested from you, be it customs or be it GST. all the questions will be application based only. So you have to distribute the total time. Now, one positive point, one good feature that is available for us while answering multiple choice question is that no reasoning is required. You just have to write the correct answer. See, since no reasoning is required, I personally request all of you, please do not leave any of the MCQ unattempted, right? You might feel that, I don't know whether this particular answer will be correct or not. Even if have a doubt, you have a little doubt or a large amount of doubt, please attempt your question, attempt the paper in entirety. Please write answer, because in any case, you don't have to write the reasoning, and your the provisions which you are thinking are involved in that particular answer, they might be correct as well. So you have a chance of getting marks rather than losing any marks, because in any case there is no negative marking also in multiple choice questions. Now you have to allocate time, so we suggest generally that you may finish your MCQ portion, because in that case, so 30% of the paper will be completed, and you will be able to save time as well, because you don't have to write answers, and the time remaining time which you have, then spend your time in answering the descriptive question. Now, how to allocate time for the descriptive questions? Allocate estimated time for each question of the descriptive question based on its difficulty and assign the marks. See, if a question carries, let's say, 5 marks, then let's say even if you get the best of the best answer, you are not going to get more than 5 marks. I hope you agree with me, at least at this point of time. If the total weightage which a question carries is of 5 marks, you are going to get at the most 5 out of 5, not more than that. So spend time on a particular question in commensuration with the marks which it carries. Right. And also, like, if a question is of 5 marks, that doesn't mean that you have to write unnecessary lengthy stories, or length of the answer doesn't matter in the paper. Your answer should be in commensuration with the requirement of the question. Whatever is the requirement of the question, write to the point. Do not write unnecessary stories. So writing to the point and requirement of the question. That is important. Then you have to reserve also at least 10 to 15 minutes for the final revision of the answers. See, I advise you, let's say that if you are stuck at some point of time, you feel that I have a doubt in this question, you just leave the space for that particular question. Do not spend unnecessary time on that particular question where you are stuck. Start answering the remaining paper, and once you have finished your paper, when you are at the final revision, actually when you have time and you have already completed the paper, in that case your confidence sometimes automatically gets boosted. You might feel that whatever provision that might be uh, that was not clear to you in the first phase, that provision sometimes then starts coming in your mind. Yes, there was something like that, and if you have time, you have got nothing to lose, then please attempt that question in the last, right? So wherever you have some doubt, leave the space in the starting, like if you are attempting the paper in the continuation, and you can always revisit to that part without spending much time in the first place. So this way you will be able to complete your paper. And always remember that 5, 6 average answers will fetch you more marks than the 5 best answers. So you have to, in any case, attempt the paper full. Do not leave any question unattended. Then how to approach the case scenario based MCQs? And I'm telling you again and again that yes, you should first of all attempt the case scenario based MCQs, because no reasoning is required and you will be able to save the time. Give a meticulous reading to the case scenarios along with the MCQs based on the same. As you go through each MCQ, focus on identifying the relevant information provided in the scenario and the applicable concept or provision of law which is relevant for answering the said MCQ, right? Then thereafter, you should mark the correct answer based on your understanding and assessment. So what is important is that, first of all, you give a meticulous reading to the case scenario along with the MCQ based on the same. Then you start identifying which provisions are get invoked and what is the relevant information. Let's say if I am answering MCQ number 1, then you have to, first of all, you have read the case scenario, you have read all the questions, then you are reading, when you're reading the MCQ 1, you just keep think in mind that which provisions of law gets attracted and where is the relevant information to give the answer of case MCQ 1, right? And in descriptive portion, you should write each answer in commensuration with the marks which the question carries. Aim for precise and focused answer. That is important. I am highlighting the key points which you need to take care. Try to adhere to your pre-allocated time for each question. And if you find yourself, let's say, exceeding the estimated time, then move on to the next question to maintain your overall pace. If time permits, you can return to these questions and complete. To just spend the estimated time on a particular question and then leave the space, some space on that or within that question itself, and then you can always return to that question. Strive to attempt all questions within the pre-allocated time. As I have all told you, the 6 average answer, they will always fetch you more marks than 3 excellent answers. This is the key. Don't leave any question unanswered. Very important. Then, lastly and importantly, stay calm and confident during the examination. Because examination stress is something which is, which you can't ignore, which we can't escape of. Everybody, be it me, be it you, everybody has gone through this examination stress. And little bit stress is always good also, because that, makes us, prepare and perform better in the examination. So manage the exam stress by practicing relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, positive visualization that yes, I'm going to become a chartered accountant after this exam. This exam is the last examination of chartered accountancy course which I'm going to appear. Right. So little bit stress is okay. It helps you in performing better, but stay calm and confident during the examination. That is very important. Revision strategy, we always say the more you revise, more you remember. And the more you remember, the more you understand, the more you know. And the more you know, the smarter you grow. So this is basically the outcome of the revision. If you revise, how far it can take you. If you revise more, you are able to remember more. You are able to remember more, you will be able to present the answers in a better manner in the examination, because it might happen that you have understood everything, but until and unless you are able to retain the things, you are able to remember the things, you will not be able to reproduce the applicable provisions in the examination. And you are not able to, if you are not able to reproduce in the answer sheet, see, your answer sheet is basically is the only evaluation criteria of you. So it doesn't matter, we do not know any student personally that how much study you have done, but your answer sheet is the only, it reflects how much preparation you have done, how much revision you have done. So your answer sheet is the only evaluation criteria. And so remember, retention is very important, as along with understanding of revisions. And the more you know, the smarter you grow.
So more, your revision strategy should be very, very effective, because something which you have not revised, it's as good as not done. You will not be able to recall it during the exam, and you will not be able to reproduce those questions or answers in the exam. So you can go through let us recapitulate section also of the study material. Otherwise, Saransh is also released for final September examination, paper 5. So you can go through that Saransh booklet also. And when you are revising, as we have already told during the preparation stage also, first focus should be on substantive provisions, then it should be the enforcement, and then the procedural law. Tricky regarding the computational questions. We always suggest that when you are practicing the computational questions, whenever you come across any tricky point, mark that point then and there itself, highlight it in your book, and write briefly that the treatment of that particular tricky point. And when you are revising day before exam, all those tricky points you should give one revision so that if a similar type of question comes in exam, you will be able to attempt it with greater confidence. So that you should do. And while revising, special emphasis should be given to the statutory update, latest provisions, latest amendments. For example, FA24 amendments, they should be given special emphasis. All these statutory update notification circulars should also be given special emphasis because in past examination, we have seen that these questions carry a special amendments carry a special weightage in the exam. Mastering the answers, art of answering the question. So all the questions should be answered with relevant provision. They should be corroborated with the due provision emphasis, with due emphasis on the provision of law. Section numbers, notification circulars, we'll say you can quote or you should quote only when you know them for sure. Otherwise, you should focus first on the provisions and then on sections or rule numbers, notifications or circulars if you know them for sure. Assumptions should also be given clearly and you should write in commensuration with the marks which a question carries. So a question carrying 2 marks cannot be equated with a question carrying same question if it carries 5 marks. The way, the length and the depth of the question will differ. Similarly, first question which you are attempting, as she has already told you, you should attempt, you should know the best and you should present your answers in a better manner. Now some memory techniques we'll also share if time permits. But before that, we are coming to the commonly committed errors in the examination because we know that all of you are waiting for that particular section. That what are the mistakes which you do not have to commit in the examination. So while computing net GST payable, we'll first of all, these are the common mistakes which we have gone through, but we'll take specific questions. We'll show you the example, how a question has to be done and how it is not to be done. Okay, so we'll take you straight away to that particular question. And then we'll take these common mistakes also, don't worry. Yes.
So J Limited, as we are going through the question and answer session, we request all of you, all the students who are there in the live, please let's make it interactive session. You also solve the question simultaneously with us, and you may give your answers in the chat box along with a brief reasoning, so that when you will look at the answer, you will be able to appreciate whether your understanding is correct or not, is up to the mark or not, you have understood the provisions, applied the correct provisions of law or not, right? So Prashant, Geeta, and everybody else who are there in the session live, please solve the question with us, okay? J Limited, Gujarat, imported goods from China with CIF value of rupees 5 lakh in Feb. The goods were sold for rupees 5 lakh 10,000 as high C sales to an Indian party in February. Please give me the correct GST treatment for the said activity.
Now we'll show you first of all how the answer has been done wrongly and what is the correct treatment, because that way you will be able to appreciate that yes, this was the wrong treatment and this was the correct treatment. Okay.
And you also give the answers in the chat box. We are waiting for the answers. I think by this time, your first round of revision of preparation, I will say.
At least one round of study
least,
you
yeah.
must have completed. We expect that. So J Limited Gujarat has imported goods from China with CIF value of rupees 5 lakh in February. That is given to you. And these goods were sold. Okay. So we are getting answers from Prashant and Geeta.
Okay, Prashant.
We'll not tell the treatment so that other students can also in the meantime attempt. Let us see. Yes, Geeta, your answer is correct. Prashant, yes, you're right. And in fact, if Prashant, you can quote the relevant provision also. You have given a reason, but what is the exact provision which is
And
there?
tell us the treatment regarding the availability of input tax credit as well.
Why we are taking the comprehensive treatment? Because we want to tell you that if such an entry is there in the question, then and these entries which we are discussing, they are generally a part of the first compulsory question. So J Limited is the supplier in our question, and J Limited has incurred these activities This is a part of actually these items which we are discussing, these questions or these subparts which we are discussing. These are a part of one compulsory question, first 14 marks compulsory question. So when this particular adjustment you see, or this particular outward supply you are seeing, sorry, this is an inward supply, in fact, I would say, because we have imported the goods. So what would be the respective treatment? Since it is an inward supply, so we have to see that whether ITC would also be available or not. First of all, we have to see what would be its treatment and how ITC would be adjusted. If you make a wrong treatment of this particular adjustment, then ITC will also definitely go wrong, and how the multiple effect is created or ripple effect is created of one wrong adjustment, one wrong treatment across the question. So this we'll see. Let us see what would be the wrong treatment of this particular question, and then we'll see what is the right treatment.
We have taken see all the tricky adjustments of a big question, because if you will pick up a big question, what will happen? There are few adjustments which I think you are already aware of, and few for one or two adjustments might be tricky. So we have basically collaborated all the tricky adjustments which students generally ask us during through different portals, through phone, through mails, and through queries. So basically, as you know, as Prashant and Geeta, very good, you have given the right answer. That yes, since it is neither a supply nor ITC, it is neither a supply, so ITC is also
Definitely not available because it is not a supply. And why is it not a supply? Because as per Schedule 3, supply of goods by way of endorsement of documents before the goods enter the home consumption. If any goods are imported from a non-taxable territory and they do not enter till the time they are not cleared for home consumption, if these goods are supplied, goods which have been cleared for home consumption, then they become taxable and GST is levied on them. But these goods are high sea sales. That means they have not even entered the Indian territory or Indian ports. Indian customs ports, they have also not entered. Before that itself, they have been sold or they have been supplied. So that is included, that is a part of Schedule 3. So that is listed in Schedule 3. So it is neither a supply of goods nor a supply of services. Okay, Schedule 3. It is a part of Schedule 3, and that is why it is not a supply of goods or supply of services. And it is therefore, since no GST is being levied on it, so ITC question is out. ITC cannot be levied. Now, this is one of the treatments. And this all of you know also. That is good that you know this treatment. Now, point is that what students will do in this case question. This is a presentation problem, that what students will do. They will not show it anywhere in the question because they will feel कि ये तो import कर लिया, import किया था पर GST नहीं लगेगा because it's not a supply as per GST. So they will not show it anywhere, neither in output tax nor in ITC table. दोनों tables में नहीं लिखेंगे and they will feel कि we have done the correct treatment. When your answer sheets will be evaluated, you will not get marks for this. So they would feel कि I have done the correct treatment, I have not got the marks. यही problem आपको solve करनी है. How will you solve it? You have to, so this is the wrong treatment. Let us show you the correct treatment. आपको उसको किस तरह से question में show करना है. While computing the admissible ITC, you have to show goods imported from China, no ITC since tax is not payable. In case of high sea sales, IGST is paid on the last high sea sales buyer who files the bill. क्योंकि IGST तो वही पे करेगा जिसने bill of entry for home consumption file किया. That person will pay the IGST. So this person has sold the goods before filing the bill of entry for home consumption. He has not cleared the goods for home consumption, so he will not pay the GST. इसीलिए उसको ITC नहीं मिलेगा. This is the correct treatment.
So you have to give basically the reasoning for everything. Even if there is no treatment of any item, make sure, let's say if you are adding something or you are subtracting something, you will give the reasons. But even if there is no treatment of any particular item, of any information given in the answer, you have to give the reason for the same, why you are ignoring that item, why we have not considering, why you are not considering that particular adjustment.
That is very important.
Activity. So that is important.
So high sea sales has two adjustments. One in the ITC. All of you have said that ITC is not available. We have given the reasoning. Now see how the reasoning has been given. If you see, we have not quoted any section. It is intentional that we have not given here any section rule. Even Schedule 3 we have not mentioned here. Schedule 3 definitely it will be here because this is for output tax. So it will have a treatment in the output tax table when you are computing the GST liability. Plus you will be having a treatment in the ITC table. So here you will say ITC available नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि इस पे tax ही payable नहीं है. टैक्स पे, क्योंकि हाई सी सेल्स के अंदर IGST लास्ट बायर को, जो भी लास्ट पर्सन हु विल बी क्लियरिंग द गुड्स फॉर होम कंजम्पशन, ही विल पे. Same is for the output tax table also. Here you will show that it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services because of Schedule 3. And even if you don't remember this Schedule 3, you can leave it. You can leave your answer here also, that will also suffice. So I say even if you don't remember schedule number, section, rules, that would be fine. But only thing is provision should be correct. आपको provision को सही से mention करना है. That is the main crux which we want to stress upon here. सो दिस इज द करेक्ट ट्रीटमेंट. दो जगह इसका ट्रीटमेंट आएगा, दोनों जगह आपको मेंशन करना है. आप ये सोच के कि इसका फाइनल आंसर पे क्योंकि कोई इंपैक्ट नहीं है, ना उसमें ITC मिल रहा है, ना आउटपुट टैक्स पेबल है. सो सम स्टूडेंट्स व्हाट दे विल डू इज दे विल नॉट गिव एनी ट्रीटमेंट टू दिस पर्टिकुलर adjustment, but you have to give the adjustment, you have to show it in the table at both the places because it carries due marks. Let us go to the next adjustment.
J Limited, Gujarat, paid inward transportation expense of rupees 30,000 in Feb to Mr. Jet, a tempo owner in Gujarat who has not issued any consignment note. He has issued a consolidated bill in Feb. Tax rate is 5%. So what would be the correct treatment? We are waiting for your answers, then we will show you the correct answer.
So it is an inward expense. First of all, you have to see in every adjustment that whether it is an output supply or it is an outward supply or inward supply. Then the next point comes. So in the previous point, that was an inward supply, but it has treatment at two places. On imported goods also, you have to pay GST. So that is why we had taken it in the GST liability table. In fact, that was not output tax if we see. That was, I would just come to this particular point. By mistake, I had written it as output tax. It is the GST liability. Because in GST liability, you include the RCM also. And on imported goods, we pay tax under reverse charge. Or that is not particularly reverse charge, but the importer has to pay tax. So that tax we were talking about here. That is shown in the GST liability. That is a part of the GST liability because IGST is payable on the import of goods. Now this question, any idea, Prashant, Geeta, and other students? Okay.
I think Prashant and Geeta, they are the regular students, as far as I remember. They are there in all the sessions. And I think open house session also.
They were there in the, I think LVC also they attend. So it's good if you are regular in the class, you will definitely be able to get benefit. Let us see the wrong treatment first of all.
Actually, what happens is, as soon as we read the words tempo owner, transportation of goods,
yes, transportation expense, it
and
actually makes
triggers
us feel
us
that
the GTA. GTA has come into picture as soon as we heard of the word transportation. तो इसका मतलब GTA है ये. GTA है तो we feel yes, if GTA is there, we feel that it is exempt under GST because generally we feel that. But point to be noted here is that
you're right.
a transporter is, will come under the category of GTA only and only if he or she has issued any consignment note. So without consignment note, any transporter will not be categorized as a GTA.
And he's just an tempo owner.
Yes.
So nowhere the word GTA has been written in the question, first thing. Second thing is it has been expressly provided to you that the consignment note has not been issued. So therefore, it is not a GTA. Now, what does the exemption entry provides you as per notification 12/2017? The services by way of transportation of goods by road are exempt except when they are provided by a GTA or except the courier services. So when the transportation of goods services are provided by GTA, they are not exempt. But when they are provided by other than a GTA, which is the case here, that is the tempo owner is providing these services and he has not issued a consignment note. So these services will not be taxable, they would be exempt. But most of the students will give it this treatment, that they will charge GST it is an inward supply, they will feel that GST would have been charged and they will take the ITC. And this is the correct treatment, that this is exempt. Since the
Service
services
is
of
exempt, so no ITC would be available on the
and
bill.
here you see this particular point you have to highlight regarding the consignment note. Because now if these reasoning you are able to appreciate why we have provided such type of presentation to you where the wrong answer is also there, right answer is also there. In fact, when we used to be as student, we always used to feel कि हमें कुछ ऐसी आंसर शीट्स मिले जहाँ ये दिखाया जाए कि क्या सही आंसर है जिसको आप किस तरह के आंसर्स लिखने चाहिए और किस तरह के नहीं लिखने चाहिए. So we have tried to prepare something of that sort only कि क्या करना चाहिए और क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, because we should know what we do not have to do also. तो ये आपका रॉन्ग ट्रीटमेंट था जो आपको नहीं करना था. करेक्ट ट्रीटमेंट में आप अगर रीजनिंग देखोगे कैसे लिखनी है, तो आपको ये विदाउट इशू ऑफ कंसाइनमेंट नोट वाली बात हाईलाइट करनी है, बिकॉज दैट विल हेल्प यू, दैट विल मेक द एग्जामिनर अंडरस्टैंड कि हाँ ये जीटीए नहीं है, आप ये बताना चाहते हो. एग्जामिनर को सब कुछ आता है, लेकिन आपको उसको ये जरूर बताना है दैट यू नो द कॉन्सेप्ट एंड यू हैव टू मेक हिम अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू आर अवेयर ऑफ द प्रोविजंस. तो इसीलिए एग्जाम्प्ट है और इसीलिए यहाँ पर आईटीसी अवेलेबल नहीं है. इसका एक ही जगह ट्रीटमेंट आएगा, बिकॉज यहाँ पर रिवर्स चार्ज तो लगेगा नहीं. इट इज नॉट एट ऑल टैक्सेबल. अगर ये जीटीए सर्विसेज होती तो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हमारा आता कि ये आरसीएम में टैक्सेबल है या नहीं, बट यहाँ पर जीटीए है ही नहीं. सो आई होप दिस क्लियर्स दिस पॉइंट टू यू. ओके.
Next question. J Limited Gujarat availed supply of manpower security services from Mr. Y Gujarat, a registered person. Amount paid is rupees 1 lakh in Feb. Tax rate is 18%.
After seeing manpower security services, something will strike to you. Definitely all of you will get you will be redirected to a particular provision, and you will be able to identify that provision, I'm very sure. But exactly when that provision is applicable, because we don't want to give you any hint for that, we want you to attempt that question on your own. Any answer from Prashant, Geeta, from those who are there in the admin panel? So let us see the question.
Geeta has given.
Geeta has given the answer. Let us see. Okay, Geeta. So you are right in this particular question, and it's good that you know the correct provision. So manpower security services, ITC is allowed since security. Now see, the security services have been received from Mr. Y. Okay. And they have been, now he is a registered person. He has availed. Now this J Limited has availed the services. J Limited in our question, let me give you one additional point here. That J Limited, since this was part of a big question, so J Limited supplier is a registered recipient. Sorry, J Limited is the recipient and he is a registered person. This information is there. Okay. So what we have done is, since security services are provided by a we have given the correct treatment first of all. In fact, in this question, I think wrong treatment we have not given. Okay, so wrong treatment is afterwards and correct treatment is first of all. So GST under forward charge, then GST liability under reverse charge, then less ITC available we have shown, and then we have given the net GST payable in cash. So when the security services are provided by an individual, then in that case, so security services should be provided by a body corporate. Now, this was the correct treatment we had given. ITC is allowed and security services are provided by a non-body corporate here. Tax on the same is payable by it should be payable by a non-body corporate. Let us see the wrong treatment first.
See, if any, service, basically, what we have understood in the previous answer is that key security services are provided by a non-body corporate, that is Mr. Y has provided the services, an individual to a registered person. J Limited is a registered person, so tax on the same is payable under reverse charge. Now, if tax is payable under reverse charge, let's say now here Mr. J Limited is liable to pay tax under reverse
Geeta
charge.
has given slightly wrong, because I think she got confused with J Limited, I suppose.
Okay, so now basically we come
J
to
Limited
the
is recipient, Geeta.
recipient. So now we come to how the ITC will be set off basically. The most important part of the compulsory question, it is tested in all the compulsory question. There is also there is an implication of this adjustment, that there are some entries where reverse charge provisions are attracted, and now you have to calculate the computation of net GST payable.
So in this question, if you see that since the service provider is Mr. Y, now because J Limited is the recipient, and J Limited, I already told you, is registered, Mr. Y is a non-body corporate. Okay.
And sometimes, students get mistake in, while at the examination pressure due to, in hurry up, they did not correctly are able to segregate the inward supplies and outward supplies. See here, it is written in J Limited Gujarat has availed. So J Limited has basically the recipient of the supply, one who has availed some services, he is a recipient.
And Mr. Y is the provider. Now he is a non-body corporate. So if a non-body corporate is providing services to a registered person, then the reverse charge provisions will be applicable in case of security services. And one more important point in case of the security services is that the security services should be by way of supply of manpower, or security personnel should be provided. That means it should not be a digital security system. It should be by way of providing the security personnel. आपने actually में security personnel depute किए हैं. That type of security services are covered under RCM. Provider should be a non-body corporate. A recipient can be a body corporate, partnership firm, individual, anybody. Recipient, but should be registered. So I already told you that the recipient is a registered person. So in this case, the correct treatment was that it would be taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Then we had since it is and ITC is allowed, now we have to take it only in the ITC table. Plus, we have to show it in the reverse charge adjustment also. So when you will be paying the tax, then you will be adding the reverse charge liability also. Now here, what is wrong here is, what is the mistake which is committed here, that this manpower security services, they should have been added here. Only अगर आपको जो tax adjustment करना है, any ITC which you are taking on any inward supply, or the tax on which is payable under reverse charge. अगर आपका ITC किसी ऐसी सर्विस से रिलेटेड है जहां पर रिवर्स चार्ज में टैक्स पे हो रहा है उस सर्विस के अंदर, तो उस सर्विस का आप आईटीसी तो ले सकते हो. आईटीसी में यू हैव इंक्लूडेड दी सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज. यहाँ पे जो आईटीसी है वहां पर आपने सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज का जीएसटी अमाउंट ले रखा है. दैट इज व्हाट वी हैव डन हियर. थोड़ा सा इसमें ट्रिकी पॉइंट है, वो यही है कि आपका आईटीसी तो आपने उसके ऊपर उसी मंथ में ले लिया जो आपने रिवर्स चार्ज में पे किया. इट इज अ सेटल्ड पोजीशन. कुछ इसमें भी कुछ लोगों का व्यू ऐसा है कि जहां पर भी आरसीएम में टैक्स पे होता है वहां पर आईटीसी नेक्स्ट मंथ में मिलेगा. ऐसा शायद आपने कभी किसी से सुना हो. मे बी सम प्रोफेशनल्स आल्सो दे फॉलो दिस, बट दिस हैज बीन टाइम एंड अगेन क्लैरिफाइड बाय द डिपार्टमेंट, एंड दैट द आईटीसी इज अवेलेबल इन द सेम मंथ. तो जब आपने रिवर्स चार्ज में किसी इनवर्ड सप्लाई के ऊपर टैक्स पे किया है, उसका आईटीसी उसी मंथ में अवेलेबल होगा. तो हमने यहाँ पे आईटीसी की टेबल में शो कर दिया कि मैन पावर सर्विसेज का क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा. देन द नेक्स्ट वुड बी द नेट जीएसटी पेबल इन कैश. नाउ नेट जीएसटी पेबल इन कैश में गड़बड़ क्या हुई है कि आपने फॉरवर्ड चार्ज का जो आपका जीएसटी लाइबिलिटी है, and this ITC which is in which you have included security services GST also, this you have to set off against this, and you do not have to set off against the रिवर्स चार्ज. आपको ये सिर्फ इससे सेट ऑफ करना है, इसको इसके अगेंस्ट सेट ऑफ नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि ये जो रिवर्स चार्ज मैन पावर का है, रिवर्स चार्ज जीएसटी लाइबिलिटी, दैट यू हैव टू पे ओनली इन कैश. और वो क्यों होता है? क्योंकि दिस इज नॉट एन आउटपुट टैक्स, दिस इज एन इनपुट टैक्स. और आप अपना ITC सिर्फ आउटपुट टैक्स के लिए ही यूज कर सकते हो. दिस इज योर आउटपुट टैक्स. So you can use your ITC only for paying the output tax. आउटपुट टैक्स सिर्फ फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में जो आप टैक्स पे करते हो वही आउटपुट टैक्स होता है, इसलिए ITC आपका सिर्फ इसके लिए यूज होगा. ये मैन पावर की जो लाइबिलिटी आपको इनवर्ट सप्लाईज पे थी, that you have to separately show here by paying in cash.
Prashant Jain has given the correct answer. Good, Prashant. It shows, it depicts that you are at the right pace. You have correctly understood the provisions, and obviously we would like to know the marks after you clear the exam, how much marks you get in indirect tax laws.
So see, this was the correct way to present it. आपने GST लाइबिलिटी फॉरवर्ड चार्ज के लिए उसमें ITC लिया और उस ITC में आपने मैन पावर सिक्योरिटीज का ITC इंक्लूड कर लिया. So this is the correct treatment. Then that will be forward charge liability and outward supplies after set off of ITC आपको मिल जाएगा. In that you have to add the tax which you have to pay on manpower security services under reverse charge. तो ये जो आपने RCM liability है ये separately add करनी है, and this cannot be used, ITC cannot be used for its payment. No, ITC can only be used for payment of the output tax. Very very important point. और बहुत ज्यादा बच्चे इसमें मिस्टेक करते हैं क्योंकि what they do, they don't take ITC of manpower security services क्योंकि RCM में है, वो भी wrong है. या फिर वो मैनपावर सिक्योरिटीज का ITC लेकर वो मैनपावर सिक्योरिटी की पेमेंट भी ITC से ही कर देते हैं. दैट इज नॉट अलाउड एज पर लॉ, बिकॉज ITC आपको सिर्फ आउटपुट टैक्स को पे करने के लिए यूज करना है, इनपुट टैक्स के लिए यूज नहीं करना. So this is the correct treatment. Now we come to the next point. In fact, next point में हमने जो next point में आने वाला है वो already discuss कर लिया, but still it becomes easy for you, so I hope you will be able to do it.
J Limited Gujarat availed supply of manpower security services from Y Limited Gujarat, a registered person. Amount paid is rupees 1 lakh. In fact, tax rate is 18%. So what will be the treatment for ITC? How we will show it? I want to know to that extent.
And we have given you the information which was required for J Limited. Initially also, earlier also we had told you, now again we have discussed it. Through this, we are actually doing the first question. In a way, you are attempting the first question, individual adjustments you are doing. So any answers from Prashant, Geeta? Again, manpower security services are being availed, and the supplier, who is the supplier? J Limited. He is a registered person, and recipient J Limited is also a registered person.
Supplier Y Limited is a registered person, recipient J Limited. Tell me the applicability of ITC in relation to whether ITC will be available, whether it is not available. As we have already discussed, that this service is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. So whether input tax credit is available for the services which are taxable under RCM or it is not available.
Okay, so let us see the wrong treatment first of all. ITC, okay, you have computed the amount, Prashant. ITC amount is correct, but you have to tell the treatment also, that where will, or in fact you can say that no other treatment is required. So that is what I think you want to say, that whatever you have written is the only treatment, and in that case you are right. So see, what wrong treatment can be given to this particular adjustment. Manpower security services from Y Limited, some students will take this also as payable under reverse charge. And this is due to the insufficient practice of the RCM provisions. In fact, when you are doing the RCM provisions, when you are preparing the RCM provisions, that entire table has to be prepared very thoroughly. What you can do is you can categorize those services into banking related services. Then you can the immovable renting services, renting of commercial property, residential dwelling, renting of immovable property by the government. These services you can segregate, and then you can remember who is the service provider and who is service recipient, and how the tax will be paid and who is going to pay the tax actually. Tax recipient कौन होना चाहिए इसके लिए tax ऐसा pay होगा. If you see the security services, if security services are received from Y Limited, Now, Y Limited is the body corporate. Okay. Now, body corporate, we already know that if the supplier is a body corporate, RCM will not apply. And who should be the recipient? Recipient should be a registered person. If I take you to the previous slide, this is what we had written there. That non-body corporate, if it provides the security services to a registered person, then RCM provisions will apply. So same is the concept here also, that the RCM will not apply here, but generally when the students see the security services, this is the question. So when the students, as soon as they see the security services, वो ये सारी सर्विसेज आप सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज देखते हो, जैसे ही आप रिकवरी एजेंट सर्विसेज देखते हो, या आपने डायरेक्ट सेलिंग एजेंट पढ़ा, बिजनेस कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंट देखा, you will straight away apply the reverse charge mechanism without going into the depth of the question that whether actually RCM is applicable or not. Reverse recovery agent के case में, even if you are doing giving the recovery agent services to a manufacturer, then also students apply the reverse charge mechanism. The correct point is that you cannot apply reverse charge
RCM.
mechanism in case of the recovery agent services provided to a non-banking person. अगर banking company को या NBFC को आप दे रहे हो, then it is fine. Otherwise, RCM नहीं लगेगा. But in case, whenever students see the recovery agent, they will always apply RCM. So that should not be there. Security services देखा, सीधा आपने reverse charge लगा दी. यहाँ पर यही wrong treatment है.
आपको सर्विसेज जो टैक्सेबल है अंडर आरसीएम उनको याद करने के साथ साथ यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुली एनालाइज हु इज द सप्लायर एंड हु इज द रिसिपिएंट ऑफ सर्विस बिफोर अप्लाइंग द आरसीएम प्रोविजन टू द पर्टिकुलर सर्विस.
सेकंड ट्रीटमेंट क्या हो सकता है जो गलत हो सकता है कि फॉरवर्ड चार्ज लाइबिलिटी ऑन आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज जो भी थी, उसके बाद आपने टैक्स पेएबल इन कैश, उसके अंदर फॉरवर्ड चार्ज लाइबिलिटी के अंदर आपने ये, क्योंकि आपने इसको आरसीएम में मान लिया बेसिकली, तो आपने टैक्स पेएबल, मतलब वहां पे आपने क्या किया था प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन में जो हमने रॉन्ग ट्रीटमेंट दिखाया था, हाँ, कि रिवर्स चार्ज सही माना लेकिन ट्रीटमेंट उसका सेट ऑफ गलत किया. यहाँ पर रिवर्स चार्ज ही गलत मान लिया बट सेट ऑफ सही कर दिया, बट सेट ऑफ करना ही नहीं था क्योंकि ये तो रिवर्स चार्ज में टैक्स हो ही नहीं रहा, फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में टैक्स हो रहा. सो लेट अस सी व्हाट इज द करेक्ट ट्रीटमेंट हियर. दिस विल बी द ओनली ट्रीटमेंट विच विल बी डन, कि आपको सिर्फ इस पे सिंपल आईटीसी लेना है, 9,000 CGST SGST, क्योंकि सर्विसेज आर प्रोवाइडेड बाय बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट, टैक्स ऑन सेम विल नॉट बी पेएबल इन द रिवर्स. आप देखो भी कहीं भी हमने नोटिफिकेशन नंबर, सर्कुलर नंबर नहीं लिखा. इंटेंशनली डेलिबरेटली वी हैव डन दिस जस्ट टू टेल यू कि अगर आप नहीं भी लिखते हो तो भी आप इस तरह से आंसर कर सकते हो, बिकॉज अंडर एग्जाम कंडीशंस यू हैव सो मेनी पेपर्स. फर्स्ट फोकस शुड बी ऑन द प्रोविजन. आपको सबसे पहले प्रोविजन समझ में आना चाहिए. अगर आपको नोटिफिकेशन सर्कुलर नंबर याद है, रूल या सेक्शन याद है, दैट विल एड एंड that will give an edge to your answer. तो आप लिखिए जरूर, लेकिन please be very sure about it. So let us go to the next question.
Mr. Rishi Ranchi supplied computers which were purchased from an unregistered supplier without any consideration to his brother, a well-established architect in Ranchi in Feb. Market value of supply was rupees 62,000. Tax rate is 18%.
अब हम सप्लाई के कॉन्सेप्ट पे आ गए और देखिए इस तरीके these type of questions adjustments will be there in the first compulsory question. Good point, Prashant. Very good point you have observed. I will not tell the answer, but this is a good point that you have observed regarding his brother. Market value of supply is also given to you, that is 62,000. And tax rate is given to you. So you have to compute the net tax payable. But Prashant, I've seen your answer. Now, Geeta, yes, you're right. That point you have observed correctly. Now, what would be the final answer? You have observed the right point. Geeta's first point is correct, that it is not. Yeah, that point is correct. But first of all, let us identify whether it is an outward supply or it is an inward supply. especially Geeta, you have to identify whether it is an inward supply or it is an outward supply. We are saying Mr. Rishi supplied computers which were purchased from an unregistered person. Okay. Now, when I say supplied computers, so that means this makes it very clear that it is an outward supply. Okay. Now, when that purchase, because something I'm supplying, I'm selling, so I would have definitely purchased it if I'm not a manufacturer. And it is clearly given that these computers, now this is not his manufacturer, he had purchased it from an unregistered supplier. Now, this point is relevant to tell you, to give you some information. Then this keyword is without any consideration. I'm just giving you a hint so that it helps you in finding out the answer without any consideration. So this takes us to a particular provision. To his brother, a well-settled architect in Ranchi. So in a way, you can see that we have closed all the doors to make this a supply. In no way it can be treated as supply. But wrong treatment which will be given by the students, let us see. First is computer supplied without consideration. That is true. When you see without any consideration, you have to straight away move to schedule 1. You first of all have to check schedule 1. सबसे पहले schedule 1 आपको strike करना चाहिए, जो कि इस question में भी है. शेड्यूल 1 के लिए अब जैसे हमने जो यहाँ पे लिखा, फर्स्ट पॉइंट वाज कि हम सबसे पहले पैरा 1 देखते हैं. But para 1 cannot attract here because it is clearly provided which were purchased from an unregistered supplier. That is why, Geeta, I told you that your point which you have identified is correct, but you have to move forward taking this point. आपको ये तो समझ में आ गया पैरा 1 नहीं लगेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि पैरा 1 के लिए आपको ITC should have been taken. Permanent transfer of assets provided
Where
the ITC has been taken. Now here ITC would not have been taken because आपने unregistered supplier से लिया है, so no ITC would have been here taken. So in that case, para 1 is not applicable. Now we move to para 2. Para 2 जैसे यहाँ पे इस केस में हम स्टूडेंट ने क्या किया है, para 2 अप्लाई कर दिया है, which is also not correct. Why? Because para 2 में we have to take the related person. Supplies should be made to a related person. Now here the supplies are not made to a related person. That is what Prashant has identified, that since brother is not dependent on Mr. Rishi.
So the
यहाँ पे-
definition of family is very important.
Exactly. Now Swati will tell you the definition of some family. Mr. Rishi जो है, उनके brother, उनसे उनकी सेम फैमिली मेंबर नहीं है. ही इज नॉट अ मेंबर ऑफ सेम फैमिली. डेफिनेशन ऑफ रिलेटेड पर्सन हमें क्या बताता है कि मेंबर्स ऑफ सेम फैमिली दे आर कंसिडर्ड एज रिलेटेड पर्सन. बट यहाँ पर ये मेंबर्स ऑफ सेम फैमिली नहीं है, तो दैट मीन्स वी हैव टू गो टू डेफिनेशन ऑफ फैमिली. यहाँ फैमिली की डेफिनेशन में ही कोई कैच है जो शायद हम मिस कर रहे हैं.
Now you must be thinking कि brother है तो brother तो same family का हुआ है.
सबसे पहले फैमिली उसमें बना देते हैं कि ये फैमिली तो है ही.
See, what we feel as a member of family is one thing, but who is treated as members of same family as per the GST Act, that as per the CGST Act 2017 is another thing, and we have to solve the question not as per our understanding of relationship, but as per the definition of relationship family, which is given as per the GST law. So the definition of family is there in the section 2 of the CGST Act 2017, and it says that family means spouse of the person and the children of the person. For the spouse and children, there is no dependency condition, but for grandparents and for the sibling, brother or sister, there is a condition of dependency, that they are considered as the members of the same family only when they are not dependent, right? Only when and here he is an well-established architect, only when they are dependent on that person, mainly or largely dependent. And here the brother is a well-established architect. So well-established architect means that he is not dependent upon anybody. He's a self-made person, his brother. So the condition of dependency does not get satisfied here. So he will not be treated as a members of the same family. And since he is not treated as a members of the same family, he will not come under the category of family. For a related person, the section 15 of the CGST 2017 says that members of the same family will be treated as related person. Explanation to section 15 of the CGST 2017. Now, since he is not categorized as a family itself. So he will not come under the category of related person. So that's why he will not be covered in Schedule 1, because for Schedule 1, Entry 1, there is, it says that permanent transfer or disposal of vessels as a where ITC has already been availed. And since Mr. Rishi has purchased the goods from unregistered suppliers, so ITC has not been availed, so Entry 1 does not get involved. Now we come forward to other entries of Schedule 1. It says that supply between related persons. Now, since the brother of Mr. Rishi is not a related person, so Schedule 1, any entry of Schedule 1 does not get invoked, and thus the same will not be treated as a.
So have a look at the how answer has been written or reasoning has been provided. This is very sure that spouse and children can be your family, even if they are dependent or independent. That is not the case, but others have to be dependent on you. Now here, first of all, we saw para 1. So we have given the reason ITC has not been availed on the same. And plus, para 2, reasoning for para 2 has also been provided that computers have been supplied to an unrelated person. So you have to see that how reasoning has been provided. Take a note, carefully note how reasoning has been provided. If you ask us, we'll upload these notes or you can have a look at the reasoning, the way of writing the reasoning. For that, you should refer the suggested answers also because they are very, very important. Yeah, you can have a look here also. Otherwise, suggested answers are also there. You can refer it there. So next question, once again, there is a point which we are going to discuss here. In fact, I think before that, we should discuss one other point which we wanted to discuss on. Just a minute. Yes, some common errors which were there in the composition scheme we wanted to discuss with you. The other point you can do on your own.
Determine whether B&D company, a partnership firm registered under GSA, is eligible to opt for composition levy under Section 10(1) and 10(2) of the CGST Act 2017 in current financial year, assuming that its aggregate turnover in preceding financial year is less than rupees 150 lakh and it is engaged in making only intra-state supply of goods from its warehouse.
अब कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम की जहां आपके मेंशन आता है, सबसे पहले तो आपको एक ही चीज स्ट्राइक करती है, वो है 150 लाख. फर्स्ट थिंग विच स्ट्राइक्स इन योर माइंड कि 150 लाख से टर्नओवर हाई है कि नहीं है पिछले साल का, पहले ये देख लेते हैं क्योंकि एलिजिबिलिटी देखनी है ना. इसमें हम वही टेस्ट करें वेदर पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म इज एलिजिबल. तो जब भी हम एलिजिबिलिटी की बात करते हैं तो सबसे पहले द फर्स्ट थिंग विच स्ट्राइक्स इन योर माइंड इज 150 लाख एंड देन सेकंड थिंग इज इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाई होनी चाहिए. ही शुड बी एंगेज्ड इन मेकिंग आउटवर्ड इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाईज. इनवर्ड तो अलाउड होती है बट आउटवर्ड में इंट्रास्टेट होनी चाहिए. ये दो कंडीशंस तो इसके अंदर फुलफिल हो रही है. लेकिन अब यहाँ पर जो सेकंड कंडीशन, एक जो कंडीशंस हैं वो हमें चेक करनी है. So the B&D company is a partnership firm. It is eligible to, whether it is eligible to opt for this, making the composition scheme under section 10(1) or 10(2). It is engaged in making the outward supplies of intrastate. ये सब चीजें तो अब हमारे पास इसको
ये
एलिजिबल
मेन
कर रहे हैं.
क्वेश्चन के पार्ट में दी हुई है. नाउ कम्स
ये तो इतना तो आपको देखकर लगा कि हाँ भाई ठीक है, कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम है, 150 लाख से कोई इंटरेस्ट रेट होगी, जो बिल्कुल बेसिक कंडीशन है जो आप हमेशा देखते हो. नाउ आफ्टर दैट वी हैव दिस एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन विच इज एक्चुअली क्रिएटिंग अ डाउट कि अब आपको लगेगा कि अच्छा ये कंडीशन जो है इसको बढ़ने के बाद आपको डिसाइड करना है कि इफ दिस इज द केस देन वेदर इट विल बी एलिजिबल फॉर कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम और नॉट. B&D company is a manufacturer. Now this B&D company, which is a partnership firm, additional information क्या दी है कि ये it is manufacturing two types of products, product P और product Q. Product P जो है it is a taxable product and product Q is a exempt product. लेकिन exempt भी कैसे है? Exempt by way of a notification. ठीक है. Let us see. Geeta has provided an answer. Let us see if she had understood the provision. Yes, Geeta. Previous financial year you have to check, and it has been given for the previous financial year only. The turnover of 150 lakhs has been provided for the previous financial year. That is fine. So that I already told you. दो चीजें तो मैंने आपको खुद ही बता दी कि 150 lakhs का turnover आप preceding financial year में check करोगे. That is fine in this case. तो ये इसको eligible करता है. इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाई होनी चाहिए. इट शुड बी एंगेज्ड इन मेकिंग ओनली इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाई, आउटवर्ड इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाई. that is also this. ये दो conditions तो fulfill होती हैं, लेकिन जो नेक्स्ट एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन दे दी गई है आपको कि B&D कंपनी इज अ मैन्युफैक्चरर ऑफ 2 टाइप्स ऑफ प्रोडक्ट, प्रोडक्ट P एंड प्रोडक्ट Q, और प्रोडक्ट P जो है वो तो फुली टैक्सेबल है, लेकिन प्रोडक्ट Q जो है वो एग्जेम्प्ट है, और एग्जेम्प्ट कैसे है? बाय वे ऑफ अ नोटिफिकेशन. नाउ दिस यू हैव टू टेल. Prashant is saying it is eligible. I think you want to say eligible. Prashant is saying 75 lakhs, Prashant, is only for the special category states. But for other states, it is the from 150 lakhs turnover. But you are right, 75 lakhs turnover is also applicable. Now, can you tell us that whether B&D company will be eligible for composition scheme or not? Yes, fly ash, bricks, pan masala, aerated drinks, it is or tobacco, it is not applicable. That is also fine. But here it is not given this. This much I can tell you that in this question, this fly ash, bricks and pan masala, tobacco, aerated drinks, कोई भी notified product वो manufacture नहीं कर रहा. दो तरह के product हैं, एक product P है, एक Q है. P taxable है, Q exempt है, and that is exempt by notification. So whether the B&D company will be eligible for composition scheme or not, this you have to tell. Okay, let us see what was the answer. And second condition, this is the second case, but
The second part.
this is the second part. So we have not given it the wrong answer pertaining to this, but let us see. Chalo. We'll stick to first part only, then we'll come to the second part. Second part answer partly we have discussed.
We have already
but we'll see.
told
But
you.
So exempt supply, Geeta is saying exempt supply of preceding year we have to add, but current year exempt supply not include. If you see the definition of exempt supply, Geeta, as for your query, I would say definition of turnover in a state and definition of aggregate turnover. Aggregate turnover की जो definition होती है उसमें अगर आप देखो हम क्या कहते हैं? The person should have a registered person is eligible for composition scheme if his aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year is up to rupees 150 lakhs. Aggregate turnover includes exempt supply. Geeta, you would agree? In the current financial year also, he can opt for composition scheme up to his aggregate turnover is 150 lakhs. जब तक उसका aggregate turnover 150 lakhs है, तब तक उसको composition scheme के लिए he is eligible. वहां भी एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर देखते हैं तो वो भी एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई हुआ. तो प्रीवियस उसमें भी और करंट ईयर में भी एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई तो हम इंक्लूड करते हैं एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर में. जिस कंडीशन पे आप थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो वो कंडीशन क्या है? एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई एक जो जैसे द रिस्ट्रिक्शंस, द कंडीशंस फॉर अवेलिंग कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम, वन ऑफ द कंडीशंस इज that the registered person should not be engaged in making any supply which is not leviable to tax. If he is making any supply which is not leviable to tax. Now there is a difference between not leviable to tax and exempt supply. If you go by the definition of exempt supply, it includes the non-supplies, that means the something which is not leviable to tax, as well as exempt by way of notification. Okay, now not leviable to tax is something, first a supply can be leviable to tax but exempt subsequently by way of notification. Leviable to tax, but exempt by way of a notification. So exempt can be by two ways. अगर हम किसी प्रोडक्ट को exempt कहते हैं तो या तो वो it is not leviable to tax at all, या फिर it is leviable to tax but exempt by way of notification. So what is barred from composition scheme is this, but this is not barred. अगर आप leviable to tax हो but afterwards by way of notification your supply has become exempt, in that case composition scheme is not disallowed or composition scheme is not ineligible. That is the important point you should remember.
This is a very fine point which you need to carefully understand and remember also, because there is a very slight difference.
तो यहाँ पे not leviable नहीं,
by way of a notification.
It is not leviable. It is leviable to tax, but afterwards it has been exempted by way of a notification, which makes it eligible for composition scheme. Prashant was also saying something including exempt. Yes, he can take composition. Exempt supply के लिए वो ले सकता है, but that exempt supply should not be not leviable to tax also. Exempt supply includes supplies not leviable to tax, but here if your supply is exempt because it is not leviable to tax, तब composition scheme disallow हो जाएगी. यहाँ हमने explicitly ये वाली बात बता दी कि it is exempt by way of a notification. So I hope you got this point. Now next point is B&D company is engaged in trading of aerated waters. Now I want an answer. We want an answer for this. Please tell us the answer. That if B&D company is engaged in trading of aerated waters, will it be eligible for composition scheme or not? Yes, Prashant. Okay, then what is the reason for your answer? Tell us the reason also. And we want Geeta, you also to answer this, and others also who are there, who are watching the session. You should also think of the
Interactive with
reason.
the session.
So
Do we
Geeta,
know the reason from all the students?
very good, Prashant. Exactly the exact point which we wanted to highlight you have given. This is the keyword. So if that non-eligibility, that notified goods, it is applicable for manufacturer. And here B&D companies engaged in trading of aerated waters.
Yeah, Prashant, one thing we see you in our live virtual classes. So we want you to share your feedback because your understanding, obviously, we really appreciate you understand the provisions. You are able to at least tell the correct answers. That is basically very appreciable also, and we also feel good that yes, how many efforts we are putting in, that efforts are really reaping some benefit. So, Prashant, please, share your feedback. Do share your feedback via mail or in the feedback form, so that students, who are, losing something, students who are not attending the live virtual classes, like LVRC classes, the efforts, so many classes day in and day out, we are hosting for students. We are taking sessions live. Success at C exam, session 1, session 2, open house session. So many sessions we are taking, and if a student, when students who are attending them meticulously and giving the correct answer, we also feel good that at least students are able to understand the provisions. They are really getting the benefit, full use of these classes, leveraging these classes. So please, I request you that please share your feedback in the feedback form,
Sure.
or you may mail us.
Share.
You may mail us, at our email IDs, which you are aware of, at idt-final@icai.in. You may share your feedback so that students who are you miss these classes, we can show to them that yes, the students who attend them, who study from these classes, from ICAI classes, they are at a better pace basically.
So we want all of you to be to take
Connected
benefit,
with these
be connected
classes.
with us and take benefit of these classes. So okay, Prashant. So please do share it. Messrs. A to Z, a proprietary firm registered under GST, provides the following information pertaining to supplies made or input services availed by during the month of March.
Now, one catch is there, because in this question, generally we get it in a compulsory question. Sometimes it happens that outward supplies and inward supplies, they are segregated in the heading of the particulars of the questions itself. But sometimes, like in this question, as it says that Messrs. A to Z, a proprietary firm registered under GST, provides the following information. Word is given. Here it is not given that whether these supplies
They're
are
not being
inward
segregated.
supplies or they are outward supplies, whether he has availed these supplies or he has supplied these services. Nothing has been specified. It is given
Which
that
of them
this
are outward and
information is
inward
given.
supply? That is not given to you.
Yes.
That is what we want you to identify. So when it is given, amount collected for unloading, loading, packing, and warehousing of potato chips. Now, here generally students assume it to be potato. If they see agricultural, they might take it as an agricultural produce. But here you know that this is not an agricultural produce. This is potato chips. This is processed. Similarly, we have interest received on fixed deposits with Apna Bank by the firm. Now, this interest received, we have to identify that interest has been received. That means this is an outward supply. Which outward supply we are actually making? We are making the outward supply of extending deposits.
Now, please tell us the treatment.
Yes, let's see how much you have understood that. Extending deposits or loan. This is the service that would have been provided by Messrs. A to Z to Apna Bank, for which it has received the interest. Okay. So, Prashant, this is the treatment you are telling for the interest, I suppose.
And please also give the reason, brief reason.
And your answer is correct, Prashant, for both I1 and 2. Yes, because
if
this
the
is the
treatment of each and every entry we discuss is correct, then obviously you will be able to arrive at the correct net answer, correct the requirement of the question, that is computation of net GST liability, that you will be able to arrive at the correct answer if you are aware of the correct answer of each and every adjustments which are given in the question.
So services by way of extending deposits or loans where the consideration is represented by way of interest or discount are exempt from GST by notification 12/2017, entry 27. And because of this is exempt. Now let us see how we have taken the reason, how we have given the reason. You know entry 27, you know notification 12/2017, but the way reasoning we expect from the students is like this only. Services of extending fixed deposits insofar as consideration is represented by way of interest are exempt. So without giving any reference to entry number or notification number, we have provided the reason. This is what we want you to emphasize or to carefully note it. Loading, unloading, packing and warehousing of potato chips also. See, only it is mentioned that it is not an agricultural produce. Only agricultural produce is exempt and potato chips is not an agricultural produce. This is how reasoning has to be provided. So this is something which you should note.
Many students have, they are ahead
you are ahead of us, and that
you
is
have
good.
read the question
Yes,
and
good,
started
good,
solving
good.
it.
You should
Good.
see. Prashant, you have raised your hand. You want to say something? Should we unmute you? Okay. So you want to say something? Okay. Yes. Tell us, Prashant, what do you want to say?
Ma'am, in the loading and unloading, there are two reasonings are given. First, it is said that it is agriculture produce is exempt, and then they say that potato chips is not an agriculture. Ma'am, we don't get that much time. Only this line can be written that
So
potato chips is not.
potato chips is not an agricultural produce.
Hence, hence it is taxable. That only this line can be written. That much time we don't get to write that it is first say that agriculture produce is exempt, and then we say that since it is not an agriculture produce, we don't get that much time, ma'am.
So in case you write the reasoning properly, that is the potatoes, it is loading and loading of potato chips not being agricultural produce is taxable. ऐसे भी
Taxable. That is
not
that. Yes, yes.
ठीक है ना?
Yes, ma'am.
यही
Thank you.
आपको हम बताना चाहते हैं. इनफैक्ट द इंटेंशन ऑफ दिस सेशन इज टू हाउ टू प्रेजेंट योर आंसर्स, क्योंकि ये जो इतने सारे क्वेश्चंस वी हैव मेड कि व्हाट इज द रॉन्ग वे ऑफ प्रेजेंटिंग, व्हाट इज द राइट वे ऑफ प्रेजेंटिंग, इज दिस ओनली. थैंकफुली यू पॉइंटेड दिस आउट, बिकॉज ये अब जैसे काफी स्टूडेंट्स को देख के इसमें कुछ और चीजें भी लग रही होंगी कि ये शायद मैं इस तरह से एग्जाम में नहीं लिख पाऊंगा, बट इफ दे हैड दे बीन विद अस इन जूम एंड दे वुड हैव डिस्कस्ड इट विद अस कि ये चीज में हमें प्रॉब्लम है, देन वी वुड हैव आंसर्ड इट. तो जो चीज आप पूछोगे तभी वो आंसर हो पाएगी. कुछ चीजें ऐसी होती है whatever we could foresee on our own, we have taken care of that to tell you. But good that you asked this question. So hope it is clarified now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. So let us come to the next point: professional services provided to foreign diplomatic mission in India. Now let us see how this has been mentioned. That only now here that is the point I wanted to highlight, that simply we have mentioned not exempt because it is nowhere specifically exempt. So that is simple reason we have provided to it. In fact, it gave you the last point also, that is the recovery agent services. In fact, we have got answers from you all. See, here it is provided to ABC Finance Limited, but had it been ABC instead of ABC Finance, if it had been ABC Manufacturers, or it would have been ABC Trading Company, then RCM would not have been attractive. So I hope that point is also clear to you both and other students also. Yes. So services provided by mission. In fact, Geeta has pointed out very correctly that if service has been provided by diplomatic mission, then it would have been exempt. So services, foreign diplomatic mission जो services आगे provide करता है, वो सारी services, उसकी सारी outward supplies exempt होती हैं, but inward supplies के लिए ऐसी कोई exemption नहीं है. तो अब जैसे इस क्वेश्चन में भी डाउट हो सकता था कि हम इसको पहले ये लिखें कि द सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडेड बाय फॉरेन डिप्लोमेटिक मिशन इज एग्जेम्प्ट एंड बट प्रोवाइडेड टू देम इज नॉट एग्जेम्प्ट. दिस इज वन वे ऑफ राइटिंग, दैट इज आल्सो करेक्ट, नॉट रॉन्ग, but
Depending
faster
upon the
way,
time, yes.
depending upon the time. So faster way to write is that not specifically exempt anywhere. You can write this way also. Then the security services, वो तो simple है, हम already बहुत ज़्यादा discuss कर चुके हैं इसको कि security services, supply of security personals per se, if it is provided to a registered person. But here it is a non-body corporate. So since it is a non-body corporate, this will also be taxable under reverse charge. Okay. So with this, I think commonly committed errors we have completed. अब now here one more point was there. Had this been there, वो अब आपको वो point हमारा मिस हो गया, बता देते हैं वो भी कि यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे तो एक आपकी exemption entry है, outward supply एक exempt है, और एक outward supply जो है वो RCM में tax हो रही है. In fact ये भी RCM, ये भी RCM में tax हो रही है. Two entries are there for RCM. So in case any of your outward supply is taxable under RCM, tax is payable under reverse charge mechanism, then in that case, tax on you, the ITC will not be fully available because that will considered as an exempt supply. जितनी भी RCM outward supplies हैं, उनको हम exempt supply treat करते हैं. For reversal provisions only. सिर्फ reversal provisions को हम उनके केस में हम उनको outward supply, exempt supply treat करते हैं. E upon F you have given. Okay, this is the way of bifurcating. So exempt supply जो है, अगर आपने जैसे ही आपने RCM supply देखा कि आपके outward supply में है, it should immediately strike you कि आपको reversal provisions subtract होंगे, आपको reversal provisions करने हैं. यानी you have to bifurcate your ITC between exempt and taxable. An exempt portion has to be taken away. Only taxable portion, the ITC apportion to taxable portion has to be used for the for payment of final output tax. Generally students forget this point. Exempt supply वाला point वो miss कर जाते हैं कि ये जो आपका RCM वाली exempt supply दिख रहा है तो reversal उन्हें एकदम strike करेगा. But if they say the RCM, it does not strike to them that they have to apply the reversal provisions. In fact, few other commonly committed errors were also there. Let us go through them once. अगर कोई point miss ना हो रहा हो ताकि आपका. I think this we had, most of the points we had discussed. This also we had discussed. Outward supply under reverse charge. Then you have to give the reversal provisions effect. ब्लॉक क्रेडिट का कंप्यूटेशन बहुत ध्यान से करना है, उसमें बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा गलती करते हैं. आईएसडी के डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में दीज आर दी प्रोविजंस यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस अ लॉट बिकॉज उसमें भी बहुत ज्यादा मिस्टेक्स होती हैं. दिस ऑल्सो वी हैड डिस्कस कि मैन्युफैक्चरर होना चाहिए नॉन नोटिफाइड गुड्स के केस में. इट शुड बी मैन्युफैक्चरर एंड नॉट ट्रेडर एंड exempt by way of notification. So we can just have a glance at the question of the first one compulsory question जो है, एक बार पूरा हम एक बार देख लेते हैं. We'll just have a quick glance कि जिससे आपको ये समझ में आ जाए कि उस क्वेश्चन में आपको क्या क्या चीजों पे ध्यान रखना है. Let us take one question.
We will just discuss
we'll quickly discuss. We'll just have a glance. उस पे हम एक बार सिर्फ major adjustments we'll see. Let us share our screen. I think it is shared. Can you see the BoS knowledge portal? Prashant, Geeta, is BoS knowledge portal visible to you all? So this is the revision test paper for indirect tax laws which is available. Yes. So
actually, we have taken a lot of latest amendment-based questions. Amendments.
We'll take you through that also. We'll just have a glance at the RTP that what type of questions we have covered, and we want you all to attempt those questions. बहुत सारी आपकी लेटेस्ट प्रोविजंस की रिवीजन होगी, बिकॉज प्राइमरली आरटीपी जो है लेटेस्ट प्रोविजंस के क्वेश्चंस पे बेस्ड है. अब ऑब्जेक्टिव भी यही था दैट यू कैन रिवाइज योर अमेंडमेंट्स बाय वे ऑफ आरटीपी. First two questions are the case scenario based MCQs. You will see that 6 MCQs are there in the first scenario, and then second scenario is also very important. Go through it. You will get all your ITC provisions, reversal provisions cleared with this case scenario. And if time permits, we'll take it in the next success at sea exam session. This is the complete 14 marks question which generally comes in the exam. That is the Nandita Private Limited registered in the GST in the state of Rajasthan. If you see the adjustments which are given to you. So here if you see, so entered into first entry which is given to you here is that entered into a forward contract for a commodity on the multiple commodity exchange, which was settled by netting of difference between forward rate and market rate. So here no physical delivery is there. That is why it is not a supply per se. It is a transaction in securities. It is not a supply. But we know that sale of securities. यहाँ पे the important point which is here is that this is an outward supply. Now here it's very easy because in this question if you see सारा bifurcation है outward inward supplies का. Prashant Singh, yeah, it is not a supply. Prashant, that is very good. You have identified that it is not a supply. लेकिन जब आप यहाँ पे क्योंकि इस केस के अंदर आप देखोगे कि यहाँ नॉट इट इज नॉट अ सप्लाई, सो अभी एज ऑफ नाउ इट डज नॉट it does not lead to invocation of reversal provisions. अभी यहाँ पर सिर्फ इतना होने से रिवर्सल नहीं होगा because it is not a supply per se. ये supply है ही नहीं. Had it been an exempt supply or an outward reverse charge supply, then we would have thought of reverse charge provisions. But let us see other points. Renting of dumpers into driver given for transport of minerals within the mining area. Now, this is a normal taxable supply. Manufactured silk yarn from raw silk and supplied it to Gajodhar traders registered in Mumbai. Can you tell us that whether it is a reverse charge supply or it is a forward charge supply? See, this is a reverse charge under goods. So silk yarn has been produced from raw silk and it has been supplied by the supplier Nandita Private Limited to Gajodhar traders, to a registered person. So silk yarn has been which has been produced from raw silk. It has been supplied to a registered person. Geeta, I think, has answered this question. Yes, Geeta, it is taxable under RCM. Now, since an RCM supply has been there, an outward supply which is taxable under RCM, so therefore, the tax would be payable under RCM and reversal provisions will be attracted.
Then, amount received for accommodation services provided to 10 students preparing for UPSC. Said accommodation service is supplied for a continuous period of 6 months at a monthly rent of rupees 20,000 per student. The amount given is a 2 lakh rupees. This is an exemption based question and it is based on the amendment basically. It is exempt not because of the hostel. It is exempt. See, Prashant, supply of accommodation services having value of supply less than or equal to rupees 20,000 per person.
In a way, generally you can assume
these
it to be a
things are
hostel. Generally, they are hostels.
yes, very carefully noted that less than or equal to 20,000 per person, and here also it is at the monthly rent of rupees
90 days
20,000
point is
per
also
person.
correct, Prashant, that it should be at least for a continuous period of 90 days.
90 days.
Accommodation services. And generally such type of adjustment is there in hostel. To that extent, you are right. Exempt up to, very good, Geeta. That point, that exempt up to the monthly rent of 20,000 per person.
And here it is for 6 months, so it is exempt because the condition of at least 90 days gets satisfied. Then supplied branded electronic goods to a consignment agent, Suhasini Traders in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Suhasini Traders issued an invoice using its own name while further supplying goods to customers. Suhasini Traders supplied the goods of like kind and quality to unrelated wholesalers in the states of Madhya Pradesh and UP for 560,000 during the same month. Open market value is rupees 5,40,000. This is very important adjustment which is given there.
because supply made by a principal to an agent, it is a deemed supply under Schedule 1, Para 3 of Schedule 1. But an agent is considered as an agent as per Para 3 of Schedule 1 only when he issues an invoice in his own name. Now here Suhasini Traders is an agent, consignment agent, and it is issuing the invoice to the final customers in its own name. So because of this reason, Suhasini Traders becomes an agent as per Para 3 had it not been issuing invoice in his own name but using the invoice of Nandita Private Limited. Then in that case, this principal agent relationship would not have been a relationship as per Para 3. Para 3 यहाँ पर track नहीं होता. But in this case, it is a agent as per Para 3, and there will be two supplies which are involved. One is supply made by Nandita Private Limited to Suhasini Traders, and second is supply made by Suhasini Traders to the final consumer. Now, the supply made by Nandita Private Limited to Suhasini Traders is a deemed supply. Deemed supply के केस में वैल्यू के लिए हमें कहीं कुछ तो जाना पड़ेगा. वैल्यू will not be able to take any transaction value क्योंकि कोई transaction value है ही नहीं. It is a deemed supply. No consideration is being charged. Suhasini Traders ने जो अपने final consumers को जो sale किया है, that value is given to you, 5,60,000, 5,40,000. So for that you have to go to rules. Relevant rule has to be taken into consideration, and we have to compute the value as per the rule. But ये आपको समझ में आना चाहिए पहले कि ये deemed supply है, और यहाँ जो हम transaction tax कर रहे हैं वो नंदिता प्राइवेट लिमिटेड टू सुहासनी ट्रेडर्स कर रहे हैं. सेकंड लेग भी है इस ट्रांजेक्शन का, सुहासनी ट्रेडर्स टू फाइनल कस्टमर, बट दैट वी आर नॉट ट्रेडिंग क्योंकि उस पर तो सुहासनी ट्रेडर्स टैक्स पे करेगा. वो ट्रांजेक्शन यहाँ नहीं आएगी.
Yes, this is also very important point to note that there are two limbs of transactions in this particular activity. One is Nandita to Suhasini and then Suhasini to the end consumer. And we are talking about from the point of view of
Nandita. You are right in your answer.
Right. So as supply of goods to the agent, they are basically covered under the valuation rules. And as per the rule, valuation rules, it says that value of supply shall be open market value or 90% of the like kind and quality of charge by recipient to the unrelated customer, whichever is less obviously because it is at the option of supplier and
a prudent supplier will always opt for the lesser amount. Yes, so that is why we assume it. और याद रखने के लिए आप ऐसे ही याद रखो whichever is less, but आपको लिखना वैसे वहां पे है at the option of the supplier.
Yes.
Generally question में आपको दिया भी होगा कि वो ऑप्शन सेलेक्ट करते हैं सप्लायर जो
most beneficial
यहाँ पे भी दिया हुआ है.
And if it is not given, you may state your assumption in the answer.
हाँ, आप लिख सकते हो कि मैंने इसमें ये assume. That is very important point which he has highlighted. क्योंकि जैसे हम बोलते हैं आप assumption लिख दो, यहाँ पे बच्चे सोचेंगे कि कहीं मतलब क्या ऑप्शन लेना चाहिए, तो वहां पे आप लिख सकते हो कि we have assumed that supplier is opting for the most beneficial option. यहाँ क्वेश्चन में दिया ही हुआ है ये चीज आपको. ठीक है, फिर उसके बाद अब आपकी इनवर्ट सप्लाईज आ जाती है.
Now, avail event management services from White Frames Event registered in Rajasthan for ongoing the company's product launch meet at a convention center in Delhi.
इवेंट मैनेजमेंट सर्विसेज अवेल कर रहे हो आप. ठीक है, इवेंट मैनेजमेंट सर्विसेज किससे अवेल कर रहे हैं हम? एक रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन से अवेल कर रहे हैं. और कौन अवेल कर रहे हैं? नंदिता प्राइवेट लिमिटेड भी रजिस्टर्ड है. तो इवेंट मैनेजमेंट सर्विसेज जब आप किसी रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन को दे रहे हो तो वहां पे आपका रिसिपिएंट की जो लोकेशन होती है, और रिसिपिएंट की लोकेशन जो भी इसमें है, आई थिंक राजस्थान ही है शायद. हाँ, इट इज राजस्थान भी. सो दैट वुड बी योर, और आईटीसी आपको इसमें मिल ही जाएगा एट अ कन्वेंशन इन दिल्ली.
No, ITC of goods received for promotional gifting basically. It is not available as we know to branch. Branch को वो नहीं मिलेगा क्योंकि ITC in respect of goods disposed of by way of free sample or gifts is blocked.
हाँ, that is different ना? That is here. जो ये some taxable goods है. Swati is telling you the point given in this adjustment. This point is different point. This Nandita Private Limited has transferred some goods to its branch office located in Uttarakhand for promotional gifting. That means branch को आगे अपनी ये promotional gifting करनी है. It's a new branch which has been set up. Uttarakhand में इसकी branch है. Information is given in the first sentence, and it says that the branch is going to use it for promotional gifting. अब क्योंकि branch इसे promotional gifting के लिए use करने वाली है, तो branch is not going to get full ITC. In fact, not at all. ITC मिलेगा ही नहीं, because you know as per section 17.5, I will take that point separately because since Swati has first highlighted this point, we'll take it. सेक्शन 17(5) का जो पॉइंट है वो ये क्या है कि प्रमोशनल गिफ्टिंग, अगर आप इनफैक्ट एनी कोई फ्री गिफ्ट, डिस्पोजल, राइटिंग ऑफ एनी अमाउंट, एनी गुड्स stolen or goods have been gifted, free samples are there, ITC is blocked on them. तो यहाँ पर जो हमने गुड्स ट्रांसफर किए हैं वो उत्तराखंड ब्रांच उसको गिफ्ट के लिए यूज करने वाली है. सो इट विल नॉट गेट फुल ITC, and since it will not get full ITC on this, therefore this will not be, ITC will not be available on it. तो जो हमने इसको जो उत्तराखंड ब्रांच ने जो रिसीव किया है, some goods were transferred to company's branch office for promotional gifting, so इस पे क्रेडिट अवेलेबल नहीं मिलेगा. ब्रांच will not get ITC on this.
Actually, since we were talking about the first output tax liability, that's why I took up this item.
Because
But
it's an
because-
output tax item that was left out
Yes.
because it is given in the adjustment. But आपको वहाँ outward supply से भी मतलब outward supply के बाद adjustments भी देखनी है. वो we are coming to that, but that's good, Swati, you pointed this out, that this is also an outward supply which you have to take to the outward supply table. We'll see the
प्रेजेंटेशन ऑल्सो. देखो इसमें आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा क्योंकि वो ब्लॉक है अंडर सेक्शन 17(5). बट वुड बी द वैल्यू इन केस ऑफ आउटवर्ड सप्लाई? उस वैल्यू क्या रहेगी? आई वांट टू नो व्हाट वुड बी द वैल्यू वी विल टेक इन आवर आउटवर्ड सप्लाई टेबल. See, in this case, Rule 28 will come into picture because full input tax credit is not available. Recipient जो branch है उसको full ITC नहीं मिल रहा है because ITC is blocked and goods are also not intended for further supply because वो promotional gifting के लिए तो they are also not going to be supplied as such by the for further supply. So value of supply of said goods shall be the open market value.
Very good.
So this value we will take
and
in
I
our
think
outward
students have
supply
also
table.
understood. I think Prashant, you are asking for some, you are telling the answer for some other point. This previous point you are telling the answer. But outward supply में this point will also come. And this point here, you will take the open market value.
So when you read the question, just give a quick glance to the complete question that yes, somewhere we see that outward supplies are mentioned, but in adjustments, you have to segregate, is there any outward supply or the inward supply? Similarly, this adjustment number 2.
And this is an amendment, latest
Yes,
amendment,
latest
circular
amendment.
is there.
Yes, circular.
Based on this, it is based on that
Nandita Private Limited had secured a loan amounting to rupees 120 crore in the month of April for Money Bank, Rajasthan. Penal charges amounting to rupees 26 lakh were levied by Money Bank in the month of Jan in compliance with RBI directions. Since Nandita Private Limited failed to comply with the material terms and conditions of the loan amount.
So these are the penal charges. Actually, the penal charges which have been levied by the bank on Nandita Private Limited, since it has not complied with the material terms and conditions of the loan. So a circular has recently been issued, and it is in continuation of Circular 178, which clarified all the points regarding liquidated damages, penal charges which are levied, that any amount charged for breach of the contract is actually not a consideration. Same principle applies here also, that these are the penal charges. So any interest, but if we call them penal charges, we call them interest here. So penal charges, no GST. You're right, Prashant, that on penal charges, GST cannot be levied because penal charges are not a consideration. हम ये नहीं चाहते कि ऐसा हो. Main intention ये है कि क्या आपने ये contract जो इसलिए enter किया था कि आप उसको
penal charges levy
discomply कर पाते. हाँ, you should not comply with the basic conditions and then penal charges will be levied. No, that was not your intention, and that is why that is not the consideration for the penal charges. इसीलिए ये जो penal charges लगे हैं, this is not within the purview of supply. ये जो it is not a supply per se, and no GST would be levied. This is the latest circular which has been covered.
Yes, circular number 2.
So this is an inward supply. But जब आप इसको now when you will take this the secured loan penal interest, you will show it under the input tax table, and the amount transferred to company's branch office in Uttarakhand, that you will take in the outward supply. उसकी presentation will change. Then comes the next, so we'll come back to the input services. Purchase high capacity industrial machine from TechFab Engineering Limited, a registered supplier based in Ranchi, Jharkhand, to produce taxable items. As per the terms of contract, the parts of machine were brought at the manufacturing unit located in Jharkhand and assembled and commissioned there at. So here the goods do not involve movement at all. आपने वहीं पर उसी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट पे सारे पार्ट्स लाकर मशीनरी को सेटअप कर लिया. प्रशांत, यू आर राइट. सो झारखंड में एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट थी, वहीं पर सारे पार्ट्स लाकर मशीन सेटअप कर ली गई, असेंबल कर ली गई, और वहां पर रिसिपेंट ने भी अप्रूवल दे दिया। जब रिसिपेंट ने अप्रूवल दे दिया कि हाँ ठीक है, मशीन हैज बीन ड्यूली सेटअप, तो वहां उसके उसी बेसिस पर ही, उसी वहीं पर ही आपकी जो इनकी इनफैक्ट ये जो नंदिता प्राइवेट लिमिटेड है, उसकी भी यूनिट वहीं पर झारखंड में थी। So parts of the machine were brought at the manufacturing unit located in Jharkhand and assembled and commissioned there. Right? And after recipient's inspection, यानी कि नंदिता प्राइवेट लिमिटेड ने जब उसको इंस्पेक्ट कर लिया, अप्रूव कर दिया, तब हमने डिलीवरी को कंप्लीट माना. So this particular transaction, this particular supply does not involve movement of goods. Section 10(1)(a जो है वो आपको बताता है कि अगर आपकी मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स इन्वॉल्व है तो जहां पे मूवमेंट टर्मिनेट होती है. फिर नेक्स्ट बताता है कि अगर मूवमेंट नहीं है गुड्स की, तो जहां पर आप गुड्स की डिलीवरी दे देते हो, दैट इज योर प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई एंड दैट बिकम्स झारखंड. तो यहाँ पर उस हिसाब से आपको प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई निकल जाएगा. और हमारा जो
यहाँ पर हमें आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा. आईटीसी
हाँ.
क्यों नहीं मिलेगा, ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, क्योंकि जो
सप्लायर
रिसिपिएंट है, जो इंट्रा स्टेट सप्लाई का recipient is located in a different state than that of the place of supply. Place of supply is Jharkhand and location of recipient is different from the place of supply.
यानी सप्लाई एक्चुअली जो सप्लायर है वो भी झारखंड का है आपका,
और प्लेस ऑफ
सप्लाई भी झारखंड का है. तो उसमें सीजीएसटी और एसजीएसटी लेवी होगा. इट इज एन इंट्रा स्टेट ट्रांजेक्शन. CGST and SGST of one state cannot be the ITC of CGST and SGST of one state cannot be taken in another state. तो झारखंड में जो है हमारा जो हमने ये
झारखंड का सीजीएसटी एसजीएसटी जो है वो जो ये सप्लायर है उसके सीजीएसटी और एसजीएसटी में नहीं ट्रांसफर हुई. नंदिता प्राइवेट लिमिटेड को वो नहीं मिलेगा.
Now, 3 scooters with engine capacity of up to 25 cc for use by its employees for commuting within the office premises and nearby client locations. Scooters were supplied in Jaipur by a GST registered dealer in Calcutta. So for 1,80,000, we have purchased 3 scooters. अब सबसे पहले हमें देखना है कि ये मोटर व्हीकल्स की डेफिनेशन में आता है या नहीं आता है. तो मोटर व्हीकल्स की डेफिनेशन में अगर आप देखोगे तो वो 4 व्हीलर्स ही इंक्लूडेड होते हैं. ये जो स्कूटर्स हैं, स्कूटर्स आर ऑलवेज 2 व्हीलर्स ही होते हैं, या मतलब जो बेसिक हम स्कूटर्स से समझते हैं, दे आर 2 व्हीलर्स, दे आर नॉट 4 व्हीलर्स. 4 व्हीलर्स नहीं होते स्कूटर्स, और उनकी इंजन कैपेसिटी भी 25 सीसी तक ही है. तो दिस इज नॉट अ मोटर व्हीकल पर से. अब अगर वो मोटर व्हीकल नहीं है, हमारा जो मोटर व्हीकल होता है उसी की ही मतलब ब्लॉक क्रेडिट जो 17(5)(a जो बात करता है, वो कहता है कि यू आर राइट प्रशांत. तो 17(5) जो है 17(5)(a, इट प्रोवाइड्स की मोटर व्हीकल्स अगर आप मतलब परचेज कर रहे हो तो उसका आईटीसी ब्लॉक्ड है. लेकिन उसके लिए भी बताया हुआ है कि कब तक है, 13%. हाँ, 13% इंक्लूडिंग ड्राइवर. अगर उसकी सीटिंग कैपेसिटी देन इट इज ब्लॉक्ड, अदरवाइज इट इज अवेलेबल. बट व्हाट it says is motor vehicle. Now these electric scooters, they are not the motor vehicles, so therefore their credit will not be blocked. Now after that, quickly, because very less time is left, we'll just see the presentation of this particular answer, so that you get an idea that how this complete one compulsory question, first compulsory question has to be presented. सबसे पहले आप सारी outward supplies पे tax compute करोगे, and we always suggest show it separately. I've seen some students taking all the taxes collectively, just mentioning the rate against them as CGST, SGST, but taking the amount collectively. So that will not serve your purpose. You have to show separate amounts as CGST, SGST, and IGST. So whatever we have discussed, you can see in the answer: forward derivatives, not a supply. Then all the other adjustments or all the other outward supplies have been shown here. And as Swati told you regarding that supply to branch, interstate branch transfer, that is also covered here. So the value has been shown as open market value. Now, after all outward supplies,
since penal charges have been paid, so we have shown it in the outward supply table. But yes, it is not liable to it will not come as a supply under GST, because it is for amount has been paid. As ma'am told you, it is not a consideration. It has been paid for the breach of contract.
Output tax, yeah, and you can show it there also. Output taxes, we have compute output tax. Then we have shown the adjustment of the ITC. ITC has to be adjusted. Now this ITC will be computed as a working load. So all the inward supplies we have taken all the inward supplies, and we have taken ITC on them. Then since we had already seen that reversal provisions were invoked, so these reversal provisions were also taken. And after that, we have computed the ITC. and set it off. So this way you got an idea that how you have to present this first answer.
Where reversal provisions are involved. So you may again go through this question.
Okay, so with this we come to an end of the session. I hope you enjoyed the session and you have come across the important points the commonly committed errors also you have come to know that these are the errors which you have to avoid in the examination. So thank you for the patient listening, students. And we're not able to come to our last slide because okay. So thank you for this for the
Thank you for
patient
this
listening.
session. And on 14th of August, we have another success at CA exam.
Second session, you can attend that.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Geeta.
yes. Thank you.